Hi everyone, welcome to Vysh IAS. This is Pranay and we are going to continue the Tamil Nadu History textbook part 1 of class 11th. Before I start the class, I request everybody to please like this video, share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel if you are new. You can also reach us on the WhatsApp number provided here for any queries on the test series or any other courses regarding UPSC. We shall start. This is the chapter number 11, Later Cholas and Pandyas. This is the part 2 of the Later Cholas and Pandyas. And this is the last video of this book. Learning objectives. Pandyas, the rise of Pandyas with Madurai as their capital. Malik Kapoor's invasion and its fallout. Succession dispute inviting the attention of Sultan Alauddin Khalji. Agriculture, irrigation and trade during Pandya rule. Religion and culture in southern Tamil Nadu. We shall see about the Pandyas. Pandyas were one of the Movendars that ruled the southern part of India, though intermittently until the pre-modern times. Okay, so what does intermittently means? Like they were not continuously ruling, but they had few gaps. Okay, Ashoka in his inscriptions refers to Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas, and Satyaputras as peoples of southern India. Korkai, a town historically associated with pearl fisheries, is believed to be their early capital and port. They moved to Madurai later. Okay, so the first capital was Korkai, and then later they moved to Madurai. Okay, so the Madurai was the second capital. Many early Tamil inscriptions of Pandyas have found in Madurai and its surroundings. Madurai is mentioned as Matirai in these Tamil inscriptions. Okay? It is known as Matirai, where Tamil classics refer to city as Kudal, which means assembly. Okay? In one of the recently discovered Tamil inscriptions from Puliman Pompai, a village in Pandya territory, Kudal is mentioned. Okay, there is a Tamil inscription from Puliman Kompai. Okay, it's a village, and there this Kudal is mentioned. In Pattinapalai and Madurai Kanchi, Kudal is mentioned as capital cities of Pandyas. Okay, it finds mention in Ettutogai, the 8 anthologies which we have read previously. So historically, Madurai and Kudal have been concurrently used. Okay, Madurai and Kudal have been concurrently used. This is a overview of the Pandyan Empire. Okay, so the Madurai is here. Sources: The history of the Pandyas of Sangam period, circa 3rd century BC to 3rd century CE, has been reconstructed from various sources such as megalithic burials, inscriptions in Tamil Brahmi, and Tamil poems of Sangam literature. The Pandyas established their supremacy in South Tamil Nadu by end of 6th century CE. Okay, a few copper plates form the source of our definite knowledge of Pandyas from 7th to 9th century. Okay, there is a definite information through these copper plates. This is from 7th to 9th century. Okay, the Velvikudi grant of Nedunjadayan is the most important among them. Copper plates inform the essence of royal orders, genealogical list of the kings, their victory over the enemies, endowments, and donations they made to the temples and the Brahmins. Okay? The rock inscriptions give information about the authors of rock cut caves, temples, irrigation tanks, and canals. Accounts of travelers such as Marco Polo, Wassaf, and Ibn Battuta are useful to know about political and social cultural development in this period. Madurai Talavaralaru, Pandik Kovai, and Madurai Tirupanimalai provide information about the Pandyas of the later period. Okay, Though pre-Pallavan literary works do not speak of Sangam as an academy, the term Sangam occurs in Irayanar Akkaporul of late 7th or 8th century CE. The term Sangam, which means an academy, is used in late medieval literary works like Periya Puranam and Thiruvallayadal Puranam. So there is a small information. Sitalai Sattanar, the author of the epic Manimekalai, hailed from Madurai. Okay, you need to remember the authors. These are very important for the prelims. Territory. The territory of Pandyas is called as Pandya Mandalam, Ten Mandalam, or Pandyanadu. Okay, it is also known as Pandya Mandalam, Ten Mandalam, and Pandyanadu, which lay in rocky, hilly regions and mountain regions, except the areas fed by the rivers Vaigai and Tamiraparni. River Vellar, running across Pudukottai region, had been demarcated as the northern boundary of the Pandya country. Okay, the river Vellar running through Pudukottai region is the northern boundary. Okay, while Indian Ocean was the southern boundary. The Western Ghats remained the border of the west, while the Bay of Bengal formed the eastern border. Okay, so the top was the river Vellar running across the Pudukottai, and this the right side it was Bay of Bengal. The southern part was covered by the Indian Ocean, and the western part was more or less covered by the Western Ghats. Pandya's revival. The revival of Pandyas seemed to have taken place after disappearance of the Kalabharas. Okay, once hill tribes, the Kalabharas, had soon taken to a settled life, extending their patronage to Buddhists and Jains. Okay, Kadun who recovered Pandian territory from Calabras according to copper plates, was succeeded by two others. Okay, so Kadun was the person who recovered the Pandian territory. Okay, of them, Sendan possessed warlike qualities, and his title Vanavan is suggestive of the conquest of the Cheras. Okay, so Kandukon had two successors. First was the Sendan, who had warlike qualities, and his title was Vanavan. Okay, and the Vanavan, the title Vanavan suggests that he conquered the Cheras. Okay, the next one, Arikesari Maravarman, an illustrious early Pandya, ascended the throne in 642 according to Vaigai riverbed inscription. Okay, there is an inscription found at Vaigai riverbed. Okay, in that it has been mentioned about Ari Kesari Maravarman. Okay, he was a contemporary of Mahendravarman I. Okay, and Narasimhavarman I. Okay, he was contemporary. Inscriptions and copper plates praise his victory over his counterparts such as Cheras, Cholas, Pallavas, and Sinhalese. Okay, Ari Kesari is identified with Kun Pandian, okay, the persecutor of Jains. Okay, so he is known for persecution of Jains. Okay, he is identified with Kun Pandian. Saivite saint Tirugnana Samandar converted Ari Kesari from Jainism to Shaivism. Okay, this is a small information. After his two successors, Kochayadan Ranadhira and Maravarman Rajasimha, came Jatila Parantaka Nedunjayadan, who was known as Varaguna I, the donor of Velvikudi plates. Okay, so this information has been provided in the textbook. Though the number of Jain people were persecuted is questionable, the insistence of persecution is not in doubt. Okay, so what does it say is, so we don't know how many people were persecuted, but yeah, it was there, and that's for sure. Okay, he was also known as the greatest of his dynasty and successfully handled the Pallavas and the Cheras. He expanded the Pandya territory into Tanjavur, Tiruchirappalli, Salem, and Coimbatore districts. He is also credited with building several Shiva and Vishnu temples. The next king, Sri Rama Sri Vallabha, invaded Ceylon and maintained his authority. Ceylon is Sri Lanka. Okay, he invaded the Ceylon and he had his authority on it also. Okay, however, he was subsequently defeated by Pallava Nandivarman III. Okay, he was followed by Varaguna II, who was defeated by Aparajita Pallava at Sri Purumbiyam. Okay, his successors Parantaka Veeranarayana and Rajasimha too could not stand up to the rising Chola dynasty under Parantaka I. Okay, so these people were not able to stand. Okay, Parantaka I defeated the Pandya king Rajasimha II, who fled the country in 920 CE. Okay, so but he fled in 920 CE, right? And there came a huge gap after it. They came around 1190. Okay, in the wake of vacuum in Chola state in the last quarter of 12th century, after the demise of Adirajendra Chola, royalty became weak in Pandya country. Taking advantage of this development, Pandya chieftains tried to assert and rule independently. Okay, Sri Vallabha Pandian fought Raja II and lost his son in the battle. Using this situation, the five Pandyas waged a war against Kulutonga I and were defeated. Okay? In 1190, Sadayavarman Sri Vallabhan, at the behest of Kulutonga I, started ruling the Pandya territory. Okay? He was anointed in Madurai with sceptre and throne. To commemorate his coronation, he converted a peasant settlement, Sundara Cholapuram, as Sundara Chola Chaturvedi Mangalam, a tax exempted village for Brahmins, which we have read in the previous video also. The Chaturvedi Mangalam was basically the land given, the village given to the Brahmins, and it was tax exempted. Okay? After the decline of Cholas, Pandya kingdom became leading Tamil dynasty in 13th century. Okay, Madurai was their capital. Kayal was their great port. Okay, Kayal was the port. Marco Polo, the famous traveler from Venice, visited Kayal twice in 1288 and 1293. This is an information very useful and very important for the Prelims. It tells us that this port was full of ships from Arabia and China, okay, and bustling with business activities. Marco Polo, a Venetian, the Italy traveler who visited Pandya country, lauded the king for fair administration and generous hospitality for foreign merchants. Okay, in his travel account, he also records the incidents of sati and the polygamy practiced by the kings. Okay, so it does show that the sati and polygamy was present. Okay, so next came the Sadayavarman Sundara Pandyan. Okay, the illustrious ruler of the second Pandya kingdom was Sadayavarman, who was also known as Jatavarman Sundara Pandyan. Okay, who not only brought the entire Tamil Nadu under his rule, but also exercised his authority up to Nellore in Andhra. Okay, under his reign, the Pandya state reached its zenith, keeping the Hoysalas in check. Okay, under many of his inscriptions, he is eulogized. Sundara Pandyan conquered the Chera ruler, the chief of Malanadu, and extracted a tribute from him. The decline of the Chola state emboldened the Boja king of Malwa region, Veera Someshwara, to challenge Sundara Pandyan, who in a war at Kananur defeated him. Okay, Sundara Pandyan plundered his territory. He put Sendamangalam under siege. Okay, after defeating the Kadava chief who ruled from Kudalur and he wielded power in northern Tamil Nadu, Sundara Pandyan demanded tribute. Okay, he said, like, I will be leaving you with your own stuff, but you need to pay me tribute. Okay, he captured the western region and the area that lay between present day Arcot and Salem. Okay, after killing the king of Kanchipuram in a battle, Pandyas took his territory. Okay, but by submitting to the Pandyas, the brother of the slain king got back Kanchipuram and agreed to pay tribute. Okay. Along with him, there were two or three co-regents who ruled simultaneously. Okay, they were Vikrama Pandian and Veerapanyan. Okay, a record of Veerapanyan states that he took Elam, the Salem, Kongu, and Cholamandalam, the Chola country. Okay, so next is Maravarman Kulashekaran. Okay, after Sundara Pandian, Maravarman Kulashekaran ruled successfully period of 40 years, giving the country peace and prosperity. We have authentic records about the last phase of his reign. Okay, he ascended the throne in 1268 and ruled till 1312. Okay, he had two sons, and in 1302, the accession of the elder son Jatavarman Sundarapanyan III as co-regent took place. Okay, they were ruling together. Okay, see, he was ruling till 1312, and the elder son came into accession in 1302, who was Jatavarman Sundarapanyan III. The king's appointment of Sundarapandian as a co-regent provoked the other son Veerapanyan, and so he killed his father Maravarman Kulashekaran. Okay, the second guy, he had two sons, right? The first one was coronated, like more or less he was a regent. Okay, and the second guy was jealousy. Okay, this all stuff provoked him. So what he did is he killed his father itself directly. Okay, in the civil war that ensued, Veerapanyan won. Okay, he itself won. Okay, and became firmly established in his kingdom. The other son, Sundara Pandian, fled to Delhi. Okay, the Sundara Pandian, who was the elder son, okay, he fled to Delhi and took refuge under the protection of Alauddin Khalji. This turn of events provided an opening for the invasion of Malik Kapoor. Okay, this guy Sundara Pandian, the elder son, went to Delhi and took protection from Alauddin Khalji. Obviously, he might not be sitting idle, right? He might be provoking against the second son, the Veera Pandian, and might be there might be some sort of issues. And because of this, the Malik Kapoor, who was with Alauddin Khalji, which we have read, multiple times in previous classes, he came to invade. Okay, invasion of Malik Kapoor. When Malik Kapoor arrived in Madurai in 1311, he found the city empty and Veerapanyan already fled. Okay, Veerapanyan already left. Okay, in Amir Khusrau's estimate, 512 elephants, 5,000 horses, along with 500 mounts of jewels of diamonds, pearls, emeralds, and rubies are said to have been taken by Malik Kapoor. Okay, obviously, if they came to invade, as we have read multiple times, if they come, they will take, most of the stuff. They will plunder and, they will not leave anything behind. The Madurai temple was desecrated and an enormous amount of wealth was looted. Okay, the Madurai Meenakshi Temple. Okay, the wealth he carried was later used in Delhi by Alauddin Khalji, who had then overtaken over the throne. Okay, to weed away the notables in the court to his side against other claimants. Okay, after Malik Kafur's invasion, the Pandyan kingdom came to be divided among a number of main rulers in Pandya's family. Okay, so after this Malik Kafur's invasion, they got divided. Okay, they got divided into different parts, and most of them were like, we want to uh, put so and so kind of ruler. Okay, in Madurai, a Muslim state subordinate to Delhi Sultan, okay, came to establish and continued till 1335 CE. Okay, and the Muslim governor of Madurai, Jalaluddin Hasan Shah, threw off his allegiance and declared himself independent. Okay, so how was the state? Okay, we will see about the state and administration and other stuff. Pandya kings preferred Madurai as their capital. Okay, Madurai has been popularly venerated as Kudal and Tamil Kelukudal. Okay, the kings are traditionally revered as Kudal Kon, Kudal Nagar Kavalan, and Madhurapura Parameshwaran. The titles of early Pandyans are Pandya Tirasan, Pandya Maharasan, Mannar Mannan, Avaniba Sekaran, Ekaviran, Sakalapuana Chakravarti, and others. Please just have a note and just revise it before prelims. Titles of the later Pandyans in Sanskrit include Kodandaraman, Kolakalan, Puvanikiviran, and Kalyugaraman. Titles in Chast Tamil are Sembian, Vanavan, Tennavan. Okay. The Pandyas derived military advantage over their neighbors by means of their horses, okay, which they imported through their connection to a wider Arab commercial and cultural world. Okay, so they had a military advantage because of their horses, which were imported from Arabs. Okay, palace and couch. Royal palaces were called as Tirumaligai and Manaparanan Tirumaligai. Okay, these were royal palaces. Kings seated on a royal couch exercised the power. Okay, the namings of the couch after the local chiefs attest to the legitimacy of overlordship of the kings. The prominent names of such couches are Munayadarayan, Pandyadarayan, and Kalinkat Trayan. Royal officials. Band of officials executed the royal orders. Okay, they were like more or less like the people who are now the ministers or the executive people. Okay, the prime minister was called Uttaramantari. The historical personalities like Manikwa Sagar, Kulasariyar, and Marankari worked as ministers. The royal secretariat was known as Eluttupan Mandapam. Akkaparivaram Mudalakali were the personal attendants of the kings. They are more or less like PS. Okay. The most respected officials were Maran Einan Sattan Ganapati. Okay. Ennatti Sattan, Tiratiran, Murthy Einan, and others. Okay. These were the most respected officials. The titles of military commanders were Pallivelan, Parantakan Pallivelan, Maran Adittan, Tennavan, Tamilavel. Okay. Now we will see the political divisions. Okay. Pandi Mandalam or Pandinadu consisted of many Valanadus, which in turn were divided into many Nadus and Kurrams. Okay. So first came the Pandi Mandalam, then there came many Valanadus, and then it was divided into many Nadus and Kurrams. The administrative authorities of Nadus were the Nattars. Okay, the Nadu and Kurram contained settlements. Okay, like Mangalam, Nagaram, Ur, and Kudi, which were inhabited by different social groups. A unique political division in Pandimandalam is Kulakkil, that is area under irrigation tank. Okay, this is a unique uh, political division which is called as Pandimandalam. Okay, Pandimandalam is Kulakkil. The Kulakkil is the different kind of a unique uh, political division which was actually the area under irrigation tank. Okay, Madurai is described in an inscription as Madakkulakil Madurai. Okay, the duty of Nattar was to assess the qualities of land under cultivation and levy taxes. Okay, in surveying the land, the officials used rods of 14 and 24 feet. This can be an easy question in prelims. Okay, after the measurements, they donated the lands. Okay, they used these 14 and 24 feet long rods to access the land. They used to survey the land. They used to measure them, and then after that, they donated. Salabogam land was assigned to Brahmins. Okay, the land assigned to ironsmiths was called as Tattarkarni. For carpenters, it was known as Takkumaniam. Okay, Bhatta Vryutti is the land donated by Brahmin group for imparting education. Okay, this is basically specifically donated for the education. Okay, administration and religion. Okay, an inscription from Manur, Tirunelveli district, dated to 800, provide an account of village administration. It looks similar to Chola's local governance, which included village assemblies and committees. Both civil and military powers were vested in same person. Okay, so both civil and military powers were in same person. The Pandya kings of period supported and promoted Tamil and Sanskrit. The great Shaiva and Vaishnava saints contributed to the growth of Tamil literature. Okay, the period was marked by intense religious tussles. The rise of the Bhakti movement invited heterodox scholars for debates. Many instances of defeat of Buddhism and Jainism in such debates are mentioned in Bhakti literature. Okay, so there are a lot of instances where Buddhism and Jainism were defeated in those debates. Now we shall see about the economy. Society. Kings and local chiefs created Brahmin settlements called Mangalam or Chaturvedi Mangalam with irrigation facilities. This we have read also. Okay, these settlements were given royal names and names of deities. Okay, influential Brahmins had honorific titles such as Brahmadirajan and Brahmarayan. It was not the Khalji's invasion from north that brought the Muslims into Tamil country for the first time. This is an important information. Arab settlements on the west coast of southern India from the 7th century led to expansion of their trade connection to the east coast of Tamil country. Okay, this was because the governments of east coast pursued a more liberal and enlightened policy towards overseas trade. Okay, the western coast actually these Arab people and came in the western coasts in the starting. Okay, then slowly they spread to the eastern coasts because of the quality they are providing. Basically, their charters exempted traders from various kind of port dues and tolls. See, so these kind of stuff, attracted them towards the eastern ports. In Kayal, there was an agency established by an Arab chieftain by the name Maliku Islam Jamaluddin. This agency facilitated the availability of horses to the Pandya king. Okay, this was the agency run by Malikul Islam Jamaluddin, who was an Arab chieftain. He was the provider of the horses to the Pandya kings, more or less. Horse trade of the time was recorded by Wasaf. Okay, what he writes is as many as 10,000 horses were imported into Kayal and other ports of India, of which 1400 were to be of Jamaluddin's own breed. Okay, the average cost of each horse was 220 dinars of red gold. Okay, okay. In the inscriptions, the traders are referred to as Nikamuttar, Nanadesi, Tichai Ayirattu Ainutruvar, Manikramattar, and Patinen Vishayattar. Okay, they founded the trade guilds in Kodumpulur and Periyakulam. Okay, the goods traded were spices, pearls, precious stones, horses, elephants, and birds. Okay, in the 13th and 14th century, horse trade was brisk. Marco Polo and Vasaf state that the kings invested in horses as there was need of horses for commercial purpose and for fighting wars. Okay, there were the two reasons behind the import of horses in that huge quantity. Okay, that was commercial purpose as well as the military purposes. Those who were trading in horses were called as Kudirai Chetti. Okay, they were active in maritime trade also. The busiest port town under Pandyas was Kayalpattinam, now in Thoothukudi district on the east coast. Gold coins were in circulation as the trade was carried through medium of gold. Okay. It was variously called Kasu, Palankasu, Anradhanurpalankasu Kanam Kalachu Pon. Okay, this year also there was a question in 2022 prelims also regarding some sort of coin, a medieval term was used, was asked. Okay, so these kind of stuff become very important. The titular gods of the traders are Ayurattu Ayunurvar, Udayar, and Sokkanayaki Amman. Okay, the periodically held fairs were called Tavalimin settlements called Teru, where the traders lived. Okay, now the irrigation part. The Pandya rulers created a number of irrigation sources and they were named after members of the royal family. Okay, some of them were Vasudeva Peraru, Veerapanya Peraru, Sri Vallabha Peraru, and Parakirama Pandya Peraru. Okay, more or less the Peraru is the irrigation part. Okay, irrigation source. The tanks were named Tirumaleri, Maraneri, Kalyaneri, and Kadaneri. Okay, on either sides of the rivers Vaigai and Tamiraparni, canals leading to the tanks for irrigation were built. Okay, so for example, if this is Vaigai which was flowing, so what they used to do is they used to bring up some canals and they formed some sort of tanks. Okay, from there they will be pushing the water to different kind of agriculture lands. Okay, the Sennan Maran inscription in Vaigai riverbed speaks of the sluice installed by him to distribute the water from the river. Okay, Sri Vallabhan, Sri Vallabhan created a big tank which is till now in use. Okay, like Pallavas in northern districts, Pandyas introduced the irrigation technology in southern districts of Tamil country. In building the banks of tanks, the ancient architect used thread to maintain the level. Okay, revetment of the inner side of the banks with stone slabs is one of the features of irrigation technique in Pandya country. In the time of later Pandyas, around 1212, an official constructed a canal leading to river Pennai to lands of Tiruvannamalai temple. Okay, in dry zone Ramantapuram also tanks were created. In these areas, such irrigation works were done by local administrative bodies, local chiefs and officials. Okay, repairs were mostly undertaken by local bodies. Sometimes traders also dug out tanks for irrigation. Okay, Iruppai Kutti Kilavan, a local chief, built many tanks and repaired the tanks in disrepair. The actual land owning groups are described as Bhumi Pittarar. Okay, historically they were locals and hence they were referred to as Nattumakkal. Okay, the communal assembly of this group is Chittiramili Periyanatar. Okay, so we will see about the literacy now. The mission of promoting literacy was carried out through many ways. Appointment of singers to recite the Bhakti hymns in temple had been seen as attempt of promoting literacy. Okay, reciting of Bhakti hymns. Okay, in theaters, plays were staged for similar purpose. Bhattavirutti and Salabhogam were endowments provided for promoting Sanskrit education. Okay, Brahmins studied the Sanskrit treatise in educational centers Kadigai, Salai, and Vidyasthanam. Okay, from 12th century, monasteries came up and they were attached to the temples to promote education with religious thrust. Okay, a copper inscription says that an academy was set up to promote Tamil and to translate Mahabharata. Okay, the important Tamil literary texts composing the reign of Pandyas were Tiruppavai, Tiruvempavai, Tiruvasagam, Tirukkovai, and Tirumantiram. Okay, please make a note of these. So this is an image provided in the textbook. This is a piston sleeves installed during the Pandya period in Pudukottai region. Okay, so this is basically this whole machinery is known as sluice basically. Okay, So what does it do is, this helps in distributing the water basically. Okay, this is still there in Srivilliputtur. Okay, so we will see about the religion now. It is said that Pandyas were Jains initially and later adopted Shaivism. Okay, initially they were Jains and later they adopted Shaivism. Inscriptions and sculptures in the temples attest to this belief. The early rock cut temples were outcrop of transitional stage in religion and architecture. Okay, medieval Pandyas and later Pandyas repaired many temples and endowed them with gold and land. Okay, the Vimanam over the sanctum of Srirangam, which is in Tiruchirappalli, and Chidambaram temples were covered with golden leaves. Okay, the Vimanam, which is the top part. Okay, the Sadayavarman Sundara Pandian was anointed in Srirangam temple, and to commemorate it, he donated an idol of Vishnu to the temple. Okay, the inner walls of this temple and three other gopurams were plated with gold. Okay, Pandyas extended patronage to Vedic practices. Palyaga Salai Pudukudumi Peruvaluti, who performed many Vedic rituals, is identified with Pandyas of the Sangam period. Velvi-Kudi copper plates as well as inscriptional sources mention the rituals like Ashwamedha Hiranyagarbha, Vajpaya Yajna, conducted by every great Pandya king. The impartiality of rulers towards both Shaivism and Vaishnavism is also made known in the invocatory portions of the inscriptions. Okay, there was some sort of impartiality of the rulers, they say. Okay, some kings were Advent Saivites, some were Advent Vaishnavites. Temples of both sects were patronized through land grant, tax exemption, renovation, and addition of gopuras and spacious mandapas. This is more or less with almost every kingdom and king. Okay, temples. Pandyas built different models of temples. They are sepulchral temples. Example is Sundara Pandiswaram, where more or less it's a kind of burial ground kind of temple. Okay, rock cut cave temples and structural temples. Okay, medieval Pandyas and later Pandyas did not build any temples. Okay, medieval Pandyas and later Pandyas, but maintained the existing temples, enlarging them with the additions of gopuras, mandapas, and circumvallations. The monolithic mega-sized ornamented pillars are unique features of the medieval Pandya style. Okay? The early Pandya temples are modest and simple. In these temples of the Pandya country, the sculptures of Shiva, Vishnu, Kotravai, Ganesha, Subramanya, Surya, Brahma are best specimens. Pandyans specially patronized Meenakshi Temple and kept expanding its premises by adding gopuras and mandapas. Meenakshi Temple is the Madurai Meenakshi Temple. Okay, this is a rock cut temple in Anamalai, and this is Sittanavasal Jain Temple. Okay, and this is the Jain sculptures of Kalugamalai. Okay, you can see the how beautifully it has been crafted out of the rock. Okay, the prominent rock cut temples created by the early Pandyas are found in Pilayarapatti, Tirummayam, Kuntrakudi, Tiruchendur, Kalumegamalai, Kalugumalai, Kanyakumari in Sittanavasal. Paintings are found in the temples in Sittanavassal, Aritapatti, Tirumalaipuram, and Tirundakkare. Okay, in 9th century inscription from Sittanavassal cave temple informs that the cave was authored by Ilam Kautamar. Okay, another inscription of the same period tells us Sri Maran Sri Vallaban renovated this temple. Okay, the fresco paintings on the wall, ceilings, and pillars are great works of art. These paintings portray the figures of dancing girls, the king, and the queen. The painting of water pool depicts some aquatic creatures, flowers, and birds, and some mammals. The maritime history of India would be incomplete if the history of Pandyas of Tamil country is kept, specifically the maritime history of India. The busiest port towns were located all along the east coast of the Tamil country. By establishing matrimonial links with Southeast Asian dynasties, Pandyas left an imprint in maritime trade activity. Chintamani, Mylapore, Tiruvottruyur, Tiruvadani, and Mahabalipuram are busy coastal trading centers recorded in all inscriptions. Okay, so that's all, guys. That's all was the whole 11th chapter. We have completed the 11th chapter, and this also completes the first part of the Tamil Nadu history textbook of the class 11th. And the next videos will we will start with the part 2 of the textbook. Okay, that's all for today, guys. I hope you find this video useful for your preparation, and if you do so, please, give us a small like, and that's the least you can do. Just leave a like and leave a comment, and share it with your friends. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe it, and you can reach us on the WhatsApp number provided here for any test series or any other information regarding UPSC. That's all for today, guys. Thank you and have a great day.